In this video, I'm going to show you 5 habits that keeps empath drained. Giving up on these habits will help you feel more energized and happier with your empathic gift. I will also show you what I do after I let go of these 5 habits. Hi, I'm Yong Kang. I help people calm their mind and awaken their spirit. Number 1 habit that I found that we empaths do is we go autopilot. So what do I mean by this? Usually when we go out or we go out and meet people, we are always in this default mode. Our default mode is that we have very loose boundaries. Our energy field is very focused outwards. So when we are in our default mode and we go out and meet people, we often find that people are in our space. They're stepping into our personal space because our boundary is so wide. And if we are in this default mode for the whole day, it will actually feel very drained. Every time other people are in our space, we can feel their energy. I remember when I was a kid, my mom used to bring me to the temple like during the weekends, and I really don't like to go to that place. It's not that I don't like to go to the temple, it's just that there's a lot of people. Every time I navigate through the crowds, I feel a lot of different impression on myself. At the end of the visit, I usually feel very drained and feel nauseous. I also feel very confused. And as a kid, I don't know I'm an empath, so I don't know that this confusion is actually caused by the different energy I was feeling during the day. So what I do now is I'll bring the focus back to my body. I'll keep my aura close to my body. Especially if I know that I'm going out on a weekend and I'm going to meet with a group of people, I will try to ground myself first before I go out. And if I were to hug somebody, I will remind myself to be more grounded, because I know that empath gets more than a hug sometimes. We also get the energy transfer. But some of you watching this may be thinking that, how can I do that? It's not natural to me. I understand that as an empath, our natural state is to have a wide energy field. But what's natural doesn't mean that it's intentional. For example, I love to eat spicy food, but that doesn't mean that I will want to eat spicy food when I have a stomach upset. So as an empath, I know that my aura is very wide, but that doesn't mean that I have to stay in the default mode, especially when I know that it will make me feel drained. And it's not that empath can't do it. Empath can do it, but it just takes a lot more practice and focus and more intention. Number 2, the habit of bringing other people's energy back home. As you go about the day, you may have a lot of impression from other people, like people on the bus, people at work, or people at the supermarket. If we don't do something and we just go back home, sometimes we bring this negative energy back home to us. And when we bring this negative energy back home and we interact with our family members, it may cause some conflict. We may find ourselves being oversensitive or easily affected by what our family members may say. This energy that we bring back from outside can affect us for a very long time. Sometimes we are conscious of it, sometimes we are unconscious of it. But the house, the home, is a secret place. It's a place that you can somehow control the environment and energy. So as much as possible, I will try to keep the energy of my home peaceful, so that when I come back home, I will have a very relaxing environment to live in. I remember when I was working as an auditor, my office is in the finance district, and every time I knock off work, I will feel very drained and stressed when I come back home. That is because the finance district itself, I felt that people there are always very busy, they're always rushing, and they have this stressful vibe to them. Unknowingly, I actually bring the stressful vibe from my work back to home. There's no clear separation between my work and my personal life. Sometimes it's not even a negative energy. When you meet up with a large group of people, they come with their own energy, and it may cause confusion. Nowadays, what I like to do is I will find a neutral ground, a neutral place where I could let go of all their energy before I go back home. So for me, after a meetup, I would like to go to the nearby library, parks, or even water bodies like oceans and rivers. I will imagine there's a white light coming through me and cleaning out whatever energy that doesn't belong to me and letting it out. I'll do this multiple times until I feel that I'm more myself and I feel more grounded. Then I'll go back home. I realized that if I don't do this, I may carry other people's energy back home for about like 1 or 2 weeks. I'll keep thinking of the conversation, how I can do better, or I'll keep thinking about their problems. But if I do such cleaning, the impact on me is less. For example, it will only last 1 or 2 days, and I'll feel less drained and less exhausted. The third habit is not trusting our vibes. Sometimes people give us a bad vibe, and we know it, but yet we give them the benefit of doubt, we give them second chances, multiple second chances, and then we end up draining ourselves. This energy burnout can be prevented if we just listen to our intuition in the first place. A few years ago, I was a tuition teacher, and I taught these 2 students. At the end of the lesson, the mom introduced me to the dad, and he said hi, but I felt a cold and scary feeling. I didn't know why. There's just some bad vibes with this family. I don't know whether there's an abuse or something happened. I just don't feel safe being in the house. I dismissed my intuition and just went back home. But after 8 lessons, I resigned. I'm not going to give you the full details, but basically my boundaries are being breached. The student lied to me and I was misled by the parents. For those 8 lessons, I felt so drained and so exhausted trying to help these 2 students. And all this can be prevented. So nowadays, I always remind myself to listen to my intuition, listen to my vibes, especially bad vibes. I don't wish to judge other people as good or bad, but if you are empath and you receive this information is important to you. You want to make full use of this information. What you receive is here to protect you and to keep you safe. It's here to guide you to an easier path. Number 4, the habit of convincing others that you know what they're feeling. I don't intrude on people's privacy. I don't read their energy intentionally. But sometimes it's just so obvious that you can't ignore it. As empath, we need to understand that people may not like their energy to be read. They want some privacy, and when you tell them that you know what they're feeling, they may deny what you say. If you insist that you know what they're feeling and try to convince them, then you will just get into an argument with them. Another reason is people may not know what they are feeling. They may be so good at ignoring their own emotion that they have suppressed their emotion and they don't know what they feel. Or they may feel that their emotion is not important and that's why they are not aware of how they feel. So once I text my close friend and tell him that one of my friends want to know some information from him, and he was also very eager and excited to meet with this person. But then after a few exchange of messages, he suddenly said, "Oh, I don't want to be out with your friend anymore." I felt the shift in energy, and later that day when I meet up with him, I asked him what's wrong, out of concern. But when I asked him what's wrong, he told me nothing's wrong. Then I was left feeling very confused. Initially, he was so eager to meet my friend, and later he just rejected the invitation. And so I asked him why he rejected the invitation, and I realized that we both have a misunderstanding. It's good that I go and ask him more about what happened. It helps to clear out the misunderstanding. But at the same time, I felt a bit disappointed and hurt. Like I felt like my friend, my close friend, doesn't trust me enough to tell me what he feels. He didn't want to resolve this conflict with me. He just brushed away the matter. Sometimes when you know how people feel and you ask them for your confirmation and they deny it, that makes you feel a bit disappointed and a bit hurt. If you know how someone feels, you know how someone feels. You don't need to ask them for confirmation or validation. Nowadays, I don't really share the information I receive about others unless they truly want to talk about it. I realize that a lot of people don't really like to talk about their emotions. So I would rather wait for them to be ready and be in touch with their own emotion before I approach them. And as an empath, you will know. You will know when somebody is ready to talk about our emotion or not. You will know whether they are open or closed off to this conversation. Number 5, the habit of caring more about how other people feel instead of how you feel. Empaths are naturally helpful and compassionate, but we can be too selfless and too generous with our time and attention. When we focus too much on other people, we don't have a good sense of ourselves. We know what other people are feeling, but we don't know what we are feeling. It's good to help other people, but sometimes when you give other people too much attention, you start to attract people that you don't want in your life. For example, energy vampires, narcissists, and complainers. Now I realize that not everyone wants help. Some people just want to complain and get validated. So once I met up with someone one-to-one, it's our first conversation. I thought after 2 hours of conversation, we are done and we can go on with our life. But maybe I appear too interested in his problem and his life. He started texting me whenever he's free, so I try to help him with his problems. But whenever I give him some solution or some advice, he will say that it doesn't work. I soon realized that he wasn't interested in advice. He just wanted to be validated. He just needed an outlet to express his pain and suffering. And I was like his journal. Instead, I tried to be his therapist. After that incident, I realized that I focused too much on other people's problem. I show too much interest in their problem. So nowadays, when people share with me their problems, I'll just nod my head that I still give them the acknowledgement, but I don't ask further questions to find out more about their problems. I don't go like, so what happened? You mean he did this and this to you? I was like really interested, but now I take my energy backwards a bit. I don't want to appear that interested in other people's problem. I don't want to show too much reaction to other people's problem too, because they may want the attention from you. They want you to have some reaction. So when you have reaction, you're actually feeding them to telling you more. And if you don't want those energy drainers or energy vampires to be attracted to you, you need to show a more neutral stand. I learned to be more grounded. It's good to help people, but if you know that you're not grounded, you don't have good boundaries, then you're not helping them. You're not helping yourself too. You just feel drained receiving all this negative energy from another person. I also learned to focus on those people that I truly care about, my friends and my family, and not just have such a deep and intimate conversation with a stranger that I barely know. If you feel frustrated with helping other people, watch this next video.